Alrighty, what is up, good people of the world? Thanks for tuning in to Swan, Rose, and the Red Temple here on YouTube. So, if you're new here or if you are returning, my name is Swan, and I've decided that in my long journey of video production and documenting my life, I'm gonna start making monthly check-in videos, just kind of like storytelling and just sharing about myself and my life experiences. I've had multiple people over the years tell me that they think that I should start a podcast, and I have so many stories to tell, and I really think that sharing our voices can be so healing for us and for others, and it can teach us so much about what we're capable of in our human journey. And not only can it be really healing, but it can be really healing in experiencing our creativity and our voice and teaching others from our experiences. So that's what I'm going to be doing in these monthly update videos. I will be sharing a lot about my present and my past and my hopes for the future. And my hope is that one day generations of my lineage will be able to view these and understand more about me and where they came from, because I'm always praying for my lineage, my physical lineage and my spiritual lineage. And I just think if there's anybody that I really want to experience any internet media that I put online, it's really my family, and of both my spiritual and physical lineage. So here we are. What a better time than any while Jupiter has just entered my natal rising sign of Leo, and we just entered Leo season also with the sun to start these regular uploads. And I'm filming from my father's house where I'm currently living. I moved back in with my dad a few months ago now, and the idea was that I would be saving money to eventually move to Kentucky to be reunited with my son, Cedar, and his father and adopted mother told me that they thought it would be really disrespectful if I moved, especially in July, because they just welcomed a new baby into the world, and they told me that it would be disrespectful for me to move there during the time that they were welcoming their new child into the world. So I thought, well, maybe I'll put it off a few months. So the move might still be in the works. I'm not totally sure. Of course, it comes down to willpower, wherewithal, and who knows? I don't really know. I'm just trying to feel it out, see what I can actually accomplish, and I am so much on my healing journey. I really needed to take a break from so much intentional healing, because last year I did so much integration therapy, hours and hours every single month. And what happens when I do that work is that I need to see, who am I after I do all this integration? After I've reconnected so much of my consciousness back into the fullness of who I am, there needs to be an integration period where I let my consciousness settle and look around with this reconnected consciousness. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the work I'm talking about parts work that I learned from Teal Swan. It's very similar to internal family systems, but it's a little different. It's a little more nuanced in the depth, I feel, from what I've learned about both of the techniques. But parts work by Teal Swan is the integration therapy that I personally use, and I typically just do it with myself. I learned the process through her 50-minute long YouTube video that she released years ago about it, and I've been using that technique for years now, almost a decade, and it has just been so beneficial in my life. And in these documentations, I want to be reading some journal entries because I've kept journals over the years, and I wanted to read a little bit from a really sad journal entry from when I was a teenager, and then I'm going to read a more happy one from my time with my son. But I just want to start giving everyone more backgrounds on who I am and where I came from and why healing has become so important to me, like some of the experiences that I've gone through that eventually would become things that I needed integration therapy for. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and read one of those journal entries. Now, I've been parsing through crates and crates of information, like pictures, journals. I ended up throwing away a lot of journals because I've just been hanging on to them for so long, but there were some that my intuition really just was telling me to keep, and I only kept those ones. I just don't want to hand so much bullshit down to my lineage. I just want to keep what really matters. And this is one journal that I've kept that has, I don't know, I just have some really weird, like, potent stuff that I've written in it. I got this when I was in high school. I think my grandmother, my maternal mother, got this journal for me. We went and saw the Alice in Wonderland movie together, the one with Anne Hathaway and Johnny Depp. And I think she got me this around the time we went and saw that. And I actually kept the movie stub. I guess it was, I don't know if it's rated R, or that was just the cinema, rave cinema. I kept the movie stub from that, taped it in there. And I wrote some really, really weird, like really sad journal entries in here from when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I got grounded a lot by my mom and stepdad. And I can't deny, I think they were just trying to keep me safe and just trying to figure out what to do. And I know that they did the best that they could. Growing up and being parents in the time that they were and are. I got grounded a lot, and I know it was their way of keeping me safe. But I just didn't have a lot of guidance at the same time. It's one thing to be like, you can't leave, but then it's like, I honestly think from my experience and learning about emotional abuse and neglect that I was emotionally abused and neglected a lot when I was growing up in that house. And this is one entry about that. So I was an athlete. I wasn't allowed to not play sports. I was like required by my family to play sports and be athletic, and I'm not mad about that. I'm really glad that I had that in my upbringing. I see how components of my upbringing were really preparing me for fulfilling what I believe to be a divine mission, which is just embodying the creatrix, the healer, and the teacher, as we learn in the Sophia Code Ascension Academy. So this was from a time that I was grounded, and when I was grounded, oftentimes I would have to care for my 3 younger brothers. I'm 7 years older than my youngest brother, and then I have 2 brothers after that, and technically they're my half-brothers. I think that they prefer that term now because they like to distinguish, because I'm such a black sheep in the family, and I swear to God, I came here to be a healer and to help our lineage heal, and if I'm not doing that, I don't see evidence for that. I see evidence for the former. But this particular journal entry is from a time when I was grounded. It's from a whole weekend where it was Memorial Day weekend, I think, because I had that Monday off. And I called that day in this journal entry Hell Day. So I was grounded, and it's just about how all my friends were out having a really good time that weekend. My mom and stepdad even went out with some friends, parents of children that I went to school with, they went out with, and then they all were congregating at somebody's house, and my stepdad actually sent me a photo of my love interest, who I had a really complicated and pretty terrible, I treated him pretty terribly because I just had terrible guidance when it came to, like, love and, like, relevant partnership. My stepdad actually sent me a photo of him when they were all together, like, at somebody's house after my parents had gone out with other parents. Like, my stepdad just, like, sent me a picture of this boy that he knew I was in love with, just, like, rubbing it in my face that, like, I wasn't there. That's what it felt like. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. But, that was on the Saturday of that weekend, and then, which I was writing about. And then, the Monday, I guess we were going to my grandparents' house for dinner. And like I said, I was an athlete. So I have a very fast metabolism, and I always have, because I'm, like, my family is very athletic, so that's inherited, and I was working out a lot. And so, you know, and just being a growing girl at the time, I was maybe 14, maybe 15 when this journal entry happened. So here's what this journal entry says. It says, Monday, Hell Day. I didn't have school since it's Memorial Day. I got up at 12:30, and Mom said I had to babysit because they were going to Sam's Club. My brother fell asleep, and me and my other brother went on the trampoline with bathing suits and hosed it down. My other brother woke up when they got home, and everything was fine. Then, before we were about to leave for my grandparents, I told my mom I was starving and got a Nature Valley bar from the pantry. Apparently, she told me not to open it, but I didn't hear her say that. I really didn't. So I'm just a young girl. I've been babysitting my brothers all day, had a very active day, like, with my brothers so far, and, like, didn't eat breakfast, I guess. So we're going to eat. I know that dinner's actually not going to be ready yet when we get to my grandparents, and I'm, like, really hungry. And so I go to have a Nature Valley bar, like a granola bar. And, my mom, I guess, told me not to eat it, but I didn't hear her say that. So I opened it in front of her. Before I really knew what was happening, she was calling me a little bitch and my stepdad slammed the granola bar out of my hand, and my mom picked it up and threw it away. I walked into the living room and sat down. All the while, the yelling continued. It was really bad, but I don't really feel like going into detail. I was getting super pissed, and Mom yelled at me to take off my key, which I'd been wearing as an accessory, my house key. Like, she wanted me to, like, give away my house key to her, which was really relevant to me because I often, like, needed it to get in the house. Then they both started yelling to go outside, and I kind of just stood there till, because I was, like, shocked and just, like, being berated for, like, eating a granola bar. Like, my stepdad got in my face to go outside, so I did. By this point, I had already started crying, of course. I didn't have time to take the key downstairs. I guess I wanted to take it to my bedroom. So I just held it as I picked up my youngest brother, who was maybe 2 or 3 at the time, and went to the car, because I was often helping getting my brothers into the car when we were going places. My parents were still yelling at me. I don't really know what happened next, but all I remember is grabbing the house key I set on the ground and catching the car door before it slid closed all the way and running back up to the house. So I'm trying to, like, get away from the situation because these people are just, like, yelling at me for eating a granola bar after I'd been, like, watching their kids all day. I heard my stepdad coming up as I put the key in the hole and open the door. So I'm just trying to get back in the house. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm done with this. So I'm, like, going through puberty at the time, and I'd been, like, living really so much of my childhood with just so much chronic, like, yelling and, like, terrible, like, emotional abuse coming from every parent in my house. It was just crazy. So I'm just trying to get away at this time. I was crying so bad. I was standing on the porch, and my stepdad was in the doorway, and he said he was gonna throw me on the sidewalk if I didn't get in the car. I got in the car, and Mom was yelling. I don't remember what she was saying, but she said that when people are in ditches, they should stop digging, and I just kept on digging. We pulled into the Giant Eagle parking lot because they needed corn. And the entire time, I was just fantasizing about jumping out and running to my friend's house and crying onto her shoulder, who lived pretty close to us. I wanted to so badly, but I couldn't. When Mom came back to the car after getting the corn, my stepdad said they had to go back home to get the Redbox movie they left there. Again, my mom was yelling, and I wanted to jump out and leave. By this time, she had already taken my phone, and we were coming off a bridge in the neighborhood, and she said she was going to respond to my ex-boyfriend's text messages. That made me so mad. So I reached up front to grab the phone. Stupid idea. She told me to give it back, and I threw it into the trunk of the car, which we had a minivan, so I, like, threw it all the way into the back. My stepdad got super upset. He hadn't said much the entire time we were in the car. In fact, in the Giant Eagle parking lot, my mom had said how proud she was because my stepdad bit his tongue so much about me. But yeah, he parked the car, and my mom went back and got the phone while my stepdad turned around in his seat and pinned my legs against my chest and was pushing me against the seat and screaming and spitting into my face about how much of a failure my dad is and how I'm going to end up like him. So I might as well go live with him. I was like 13, 14. My mom was already back in the car, and she was just watching. I wanted to scream at her for letting him say and do that to me. She didn't say anything about that, and instead started to talk about how good I had been recently because I had been grounded for having a party at her house, which I definitely understand, like, was very upsetting to them, but there was really no, like, rehabilitation or, like, trying to level with me about it. It was just like, you're grounded and you're going to be our slave and you're just going to do whatever we want you to do, and there's really no, like, remediation or, like, trying to find out the root cause of why I might have been behaving like that. They started talking about how good I had been and how they were going to take me off punishment, but now I was going to be grounded the entire summer. And I'm not going to my same high school next year, is what they were telling me. Understandably, my peers were not very... my peers had almost as little guidance as I did. Like, we weren't behaving in ways that really were making our parents all that happy all the time, but I don't think we were receiving great feedback or guidance. My stepdad told me I was acting like a stuck-up bitch with rich parents who let her do whatever she wants. More berating about my dad and how much I disrespect him and my mom. When we got to my grandparents, I sat in the car for about 10 minutes, and my grandpap came and got me. Who also, side note, was, like, gave me some of the other, like, worst trauma. Not in this particular moment, but in my life. Like, it was really weird because he was, like, an important caretaker in my life, but also, like, was, like, one of the most prominent, like, traumatization, like, givers of my childhood. We sat on the gazebo in their backyard, and he started crying. I felt so bad. He was trying to make me feel better, and I couldn't, because I knew he was sad, so I felt worse. I went back in the car, and my grandma came and got me, and made me eat. I felt terrible for dragging them into it. When we left, no one said anything. I hate how my parents, my dad and my stepdad and my mom pretend that everything's all right. It's, like, very narcissistic. If you look into, like, narcissistic behavior, it's like after some crazy blow up, then they just, like, act like everything's fine. They don't talk about it. They don't try to take any accountability or, like, repair. Then we got home and still nothing. There was a point when my mom came downstairs and talked to my stepdad, and I thought she would talk to me, but she didn't. Later, she came to my bedroom and said that she read the text from me and my ex-boyfriend about us kissing, and she didn't care about that, but she was upset about how one of my girlfriends texted me and said, "I saw your mom," and my reply was, "Ew, where?" My mom said, "You want a good relationship with me, but then you say stuff like that? Fuck you." Then walked away. And then I go to continue on writing. I screw myself over so badly. I wanted to go up and talk to her really bad, because I hate this feeling in my stomach, but I know all that would happen is I would get yelled at, and everything would be worse. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I don't know why I said ew, but that's something I can't really explain to my mom, and I don't know anymore. I know it's one of the worst things to wish. Oh, you know what? I know it's pretty bad. Saying that my mom and my stepdad never met and never had my brothers. Yeah, that's sad. I love all of my brothers, but there's no peace in my heart for my stepdad. I wish it could just be me and my mom. A couple weeks ago, I told her I want to have a relationship with her, but I don't even think it's possible. I don't want it to be a thing where I had to say something to her to realize she's not there for me. I just want it to happen. I wish we were just close forever so none of this would have ever happened. I love how they give me adult responsibilities, but then don't give me the freaking freedom to eat a granola bar. I just want to erase today. So, I feel like a lot of people, like, that know me and my life now, like, maybe could start to understand a little bit more about, like, my upbringing and, like, why, like, healing is so important to me, because I don't know where the fuck I would be if I wasn't on a healing track. Like, that was a pretty intense story, but a lot of my upbringing included a lot of, like, small, like, less prolonged incidences that were, like, very similar to that, or just, like, a lot of, like, neglect. And now I really think that I'm still healing, and it was hard to read that, but I'm glad in some ways I documented all this kind of stuff, because it can kind of show me how far I've come and where I've come from. But anyways, I'm just going to read the sweet one about my son that I wanted to read. So I had my son when I was 25. I gave birth to him when I was 25, and I prayed so hard to become a mother, and I just felt like that's just what I really wanted, and having my son gave me some of the greatest healing gifts that I could have ever asked for, and I'm so thankful to have become a mother and for my angelic being of a baby boy in this life. I'm just really dedicated to offering a lot more guidance and, like, love to the young people in my life than I received. But here's a sweet little entry that made me happy from a different journal. Today, I was pushing my son in a swing and making eagle sounds. He started calling the swings birdie swings, and that he was flying in them. He put his head back and closed his eyes while I was pushing him and said, "I'm taking a nap in the birdie swings." He looked so cute. He is such an angelic boy. He smiles, and I'm like, yo, do you see that face and that smile? He is such a beautiful boy. Today, we painted. I got him paints and said they were a present for being such a good boy and helping me and his dad so much and doing such a good job. When I said, "Baby, come, I want to talk to you," he got a serious look on his face and came to sit on my lap. And I'm so happy we had that moment, thanks to the book Hunt, Gather, Parent, which is really an incredible book for parents and anybody raising children. So, yeah, Leo activation, like, intense with this Jupiter transit, and also fucking North Node moving through, fucking South Node moving through Jupiter. The South Node moving through my rising sign probably is another good indication of, like, these energies that are currently streaming through to you. Me telling you about these past experiences, because the South Node of the moon represents our past. And here I am on this grand old media platform telling you about these experiences from my past. And so with the North Node in Aquarius transiting my 7th house, that is also a good indication of me trying to make strides in society. So we also see, here we are. I love astrology so much. I love explaining the world through an astrological lens. It makes everything less personal and more cosmic, and I think that that's a really level-headed way to view the world from a less personal stance when possible. And I'm just so grateful for the parts work that I've done over the year, especially. I've done it over the years, but I've done it so much, like, last year. And then once, like, the Lunar New Year rolled around in February, I was like, I really need to take a break. I just need to, like, integrate and, like, see where I am and who I am now. And I did some more parts work in April. I really have been working a lot on, now they're integrated parts of my being, so they're not really disrupting anything. I'm in a much more integrated, like, peaceful place consciously. But I was doing a lot of work on parts that I saw that were not helpful for me creating or co-creating a marriage. I really want to be married, and that can be, from my upbringing, that was I had a lot of work to do to get to a point where I could co-create a healthy marriage. And I feel like I've done a lot of really important work on that path. And even last year, when I was doing a lot of work for that, I was coming up to parts of myself that were really, really dedicated to creating toxic partnerships, because the parts of me thought that I would somehow regain the love of my mom, or, like, you know, these are just outdated versions that were created as ways to protect who I am, but it just, over time, that just doesn't really serve you anymore once you aren't in that environment anymore, and are trying to create and co-create different versions of your life. Those parts that were fragmented off to, like, protect you just aren't always the best for making what you really, really desire. And I'm all for coming closer and closer to the fulfillment of true desire. I think that is so heavenly and so holy. And, I came up on a part of myself that was like, I want to be married so that I can just get into arguments with my spouse, because, like, of trauma that happened when I was even younger than that passage I read. Like, I felt like by getting into arguments with a partner that I would be simultaneously protecting myself and protecting my mom. Like, I wanted, like, a fill-in for my stepdad who would be, like, my partner. But I did parts work, I did integration therapy, I really found that part of myself and asked it if it wanted to rejoin the wholeness of my consciousness, and I had a ceremony where it was able to reintegrate, and I just feel myself able to hold such a more loving, like, co-creative experience with somebody who could be my husband or my spouse. And that's just one example of, like, something that a part of me was saying that was operating from my consciousness and was just wanted to create toxic dynamics intentionally, to intentionally try to win arguments and protect my mom. It's like, that's not really serving me as a 29-year-old. I don't live with them. I don't, like, that's just, if you have an understanding of, like, inner child work and healing on some levels, like, you might understand what I'm saying. It's a lot to, like, fully describe in this update video, but if you are somebody listening who has any questions about that, I'm definitely willing to talk about it more in like a one-on-one conversation, so please feel free to message me or reach out here on YouTube or on my Instagram, swanrose_ the red temple. I'm just going to go over my notes and see if what I'm covering or what I still wanted to cover in this video. So I'm going to do 2 journal entries talking about integration work and my future hopes with integration work. Some areas that I really want to focus on with my integration work coming up, because I feel like I've taken a pretty good break. Like, I haven't really done any since April, and I wanted to touch on some of that work that I did in April. I'll do that in a second. But like coming up, I really want to start working on any like fragmented parts of me that like are barriers to the money that I'm earning or like my income. I really like to increase how much money I'm earning, and I'm really, really excited to start working with parts of me that are, I don't know what they're doing exactly. I haven't really dove in there yet, but I want to, and I am planning on it. So that's like some future goals for me. I want to do work around parts of me that might be getting in the way of me earning the money that I really could if I just do some work on that and like come into greater wholeness, my consciousness. But yeah, I wanted to touch on some parts work I was doing back in April where sometimes when I do parts work, I will realize even more fragments when I'm actually in the container doing the work with myself that I didn't even realize were there. And back in April, I was doing more work on like parts of me that were like not ready for marriage, and so I found this part of me that was just like being a woman in this world, just like the part of me that felt like I can't remember. If I could just remember the exactness of it, that would be great. I don't know if I can. But basically I did all this crying. I was just embodying this woman who was just like looking around in the world and being like, what the fuck? Like, this world is not made to hold me. Like, and I was just like really grieving. I was just literally like, it was like the part of me that is like this woman that doesn't even realize that this world isn't even like made to hold me. Like, this part of me that's like posturing in the world as somebody who's like as a woman in the world who's totally oblivious to the fact that like the world is not like matrifocal at this time. And the healing that happened in that moment was, I feel like, what catapulted me into being able to hold a really, really important healing, healthy relationship that I am in now with a man who I could have had a relationship with a long time ago, but I didn't think, he said like he wasn't ready then, like literally like over a decade ago. We found each other on Bumble, and it just has really taken off, but I feel like I was even like sidelining him for like months until I did this work in April, and it really, really helped me become more of an energetic match to this really healthy and healing relationship that I'm in now. And it's like, he is such a healthy man, and he's also a Virgo, and that makes me so happy because I'm a Virgo, and like we both have Virgo energies and we both have Scorpio energies, and it's very nice. And it's like really a healthy relationship, and I feel like all this work I've been doing all the way up until April, even though I took a few months off earlier this year, but it's like really catapulted me into this time where I'm co-creating this really healthy relationship. And I had to do this work around really integrating the fact that there was a part of me that was choosing to be just totally oblivious to the fact that like this world is not made for like women to be healthy. And if that's something that you're oblivious to, God bless you. Like, swear, may your heart open to receive healing for like this life to be better, because damn. Okay, so I had so much fun doing this video. Here are some relics from high school. One girl that I graduated high school with made me this really, really fucking cute thing with like pictures from high school, and it was like a graduation present. That was really sweet. So I've just been going through like this crate of stuff that I kept from years, pictures, relics like this, and journals. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some insight, some positive reflections, maybe something to help you in your healing journey through this. I'm going to leave a link to Teal Swan's parts work. It's really, really fucking amazing. If you can dedicate yourself to it, I promise it will bring you nothing but success and the things you want, as long as you can dedicate some time to it, as long as you can dedicate as much time as you want to it. I will check back in about a month.